And now it's time for another Dice Tower review with Mike Vincent.
Hello, Michael Vincent here, and today I'm going to be doing an educational review. So of all the units I teach as a history teacher, I would say there's no single unit that captures the imagination of students more than World War II. As early as grade 7, I get students asking me, Mr. Vincent, when do we get to learn about the Second World War? And unfortunately, I often have to tell them, well, you're going to have to wait until grade 11 and 12. But World War II is a unit that students are just fascinated by, and so that's why today I want to take a look at a game called Memoir 44. Now, Memoir 44 is a game that takes a look at individual battles as opposed to the war as a whole, like a game like Axis and Allies might. But that is a very good area as a teacher to capitalize on because there are lots of students who are certainly military history enthusiasts who love to get more detail about the battles of World War II. So for my educational reviews, and in the interest of keeping them focused and not too lengthy, I'm going to break it down into a few categories. So I'm going to look at the objective, how do you win the game? I want to look at the quality of the components. I also want to talk about theme, and finally I want to talk about the educational value and how a parent or a teacher might want to use a game like Memoir 44. So let's jump in and take a look at the objective. Okay, so I want to start by mentioning that Memoir 44 is a game designed by Richard Borg and published by Days of Wonder. Now here you can see the board, and the point of the game is to take your armies and either destroy the enemy's armies or to capture strategic objectives. So here we have the board set up. I'll keep in mind that this board is double-sided, so whether you want to have a beach map or a land map, you can flip the board either way. And this is set up for Sword Beach on June 6, 1944. So the rules read, the conditions for victory, you're looking to acquire 5 medals. An allied unit that captures the town hex counts as 1 victory medal. Place an objective medal on each town hex. As long as the allied unit remains on the town hex, it continues to count toward the allied victory. If the unit moves off or is eliminated, it no longer counts. So the game is short enough that the best way to play Memoir 44 is for one player to first play the Allies, for example, and then switch around and have a time to play the Axis. And then whoever captures the most medals after playing both sides wins. So for this scenario, they mentioned the towns, which each have a little victory medal. And for killing a unit, so let's say I'm bringing in my tanks, I'm playing cards, and I managed to destroy all 4 of these troops, that would count as 1 medal. In addition, if I manage to get my troops, eventually, let's say they make their way up the board, let's say if somehow I kill these tanks, and they make their way into town and they hold it at the end of the game, then I would have a medal for that as well. So that's the objective of the game. You're using command cards and dice to move your troops around the board and attack the other player. So with that being said, let's jump in and take a look at the components. Okay, so let's take a look at the components for Memoir 44. Now, you see that each side is given a set of cardboard card stands, which is very nice, especially if you're playing team play. So the game is designed to be one-on-one. However, it can accommodate up to 6 players. So if you're playing on 2 teams of 2 or 2 teams of 3, then these cardboard stands are going to allow the whole team to be able to sit back and see what cards are available to them. The cards delineate which part of the board, which is divided into thirds, you can act on that turn. So for example, this card allows us to order all units on the right third of the board, but this one allows us to order 3 units on the left third of the board. And so the main way that you move your troops around the board is by using these cards. Now when you do come to engage an enemy unit, you're going to be using these special dice. These dice do not have numbers on them like traditional dice, but instead they have symbols. So for example, this green star would be a miss, this would be a hit for infantry, a flag would force the enemy to retreat, this would be a tank, so that would do damage to a tank, etc. So unique dice and very streamlined and easy to use. The system for this game allows anyone to jump in, even if they're not hardcore gamers or they don't really like heavy war games. Because this is a light strategy game, using cards and simplified dice makes the gameplay very smooth. Now we have these very nice components. For the miniatures, we have artillery, infantry, tanks. We have the hedgehogs that you would see perhaps from a scene from Saving Private Ryan on the beaches, and we have barbed wire. So I had a game night at school the other day, and me and another student were playing Memoir 44, and I noticed that students were drawn to the game mostly because of the components. Students couldn't help but come over and be like, oh, these tanks look really cool. Oh, look at this barbed wire. Look at these troops. And so I think the components do the game a very big service in that it really makes people who see the game want to come over and check it out and play it, because they are very well done. Now we have medals and little cardboard symbols that will delineate special forces units, and you get to spread different hexes along the board for different types of terrain. So we see rivers, we have hedges, there are forests, and so this will allow you to customize each of your battles and your maps so that there's lots of replay value in the game as well. Now, one thing I like for sure is these reference cards. These you play at the side of the board, and they're just going to give you a shortcut to make sure the gameplay remains smooth, telling you how it works when your troops, for example, move in the sand, how they move through forests, how they move through the hedges, etc. And they give you quick little summaries of how your troops attack and how they move along the board. So I think the components are a real strength of this game, and I think students are going to be drawn to the aesthetics of Memoir 44. Okay, so the theme for this game, in my opinion, is very strong. You really get the sense that you are playing through a battle in World War II. Just by looking at the board for Operation Sword, really evokes the type of imagery that you would see in a film like Saving Private Ryan. We have the barbed wire, we have the hedgehogs on the beach, we can see the ocean, the troops coming in after they've just landed. They have to make their way up through the sand. There are pillboxes with troops defending them. We have barbed wire they have to fight their way through, and then they have to make their way up to the town. So I think the components with the way the board is designed, the art on the cards, and the dice even themselves having the little symbols really bring out the theme of World War II. Now, the other nice thing is when you're looking through the rule book, they have historical background for every single battle that you're going to play, so that really enhances the theme. And it's cool that different missions give you different victory conditions, and so as opposed to just playing the same scenario over and over again where you're just trying to kill the enemies, there's going to be special objectives, whether you are holding a bridge or capturing a town, but you're doing the sorts of things that you would have to do in a battle from World War II. So in my opinion, the theme for this game is excellent and certainly brings out that World War II feeling. And as I mentioned before, during my game night, when me and another student were playing this game, other students just came around, they were watching us play, and they were all saying, can we play next, can we play next? And I think it's because students really love World War II, and they're very attracted to this game. So, in my opinion, the theme is great. Okay, so by just looking at the board, you might assume that Memoir 44 is simply a light strategy war game where we have troops moving along the board. It has a World War II theme, but perhaps there's not a whole lot of real history in the game. Well, this is where Richard Borg has taken the opportunity to use the rule book to really give some context to what you're doing in the game. So there are 16 different battles in the core set, and when you notice, each battle has the title, it has the date. So in this case, we're looking at Omaha Beach on June 6, 1944. And most importantly, it gives you a solid paragraph looking at the historical background, which will put the battle that you're playing into context. And this will include important information about any important dates, any important locations, or personalities who would have played a role in the outcome of that battle. So the one thing I really like about this game is it gives students who are military history buffs an opportunity to learn more about the battles from World War II. Yes, when you're teaching World War II, you're going to make reference to the big battles, but you're probably also going to spend a lot of time talking about the home front, talking about the political situation. It may not go into too much detail about the actual military part of it. And so if you're teaching a World War II unit, I think this would be an excellent game to have students play, particularly if they're really interested in the battles of World War II, because if they're reading the historical background and playing through lots of the different battles, they're going to end up having a pretty solid knowledge of some of the most important battles from the war. Now, this game can also be expanded, and there are literally hundreds of battles available for this game. There are campaign books, which have on average about 50 battles, and there are expansions that look at all different elements of World War II. So whether you want to know about the Japanese Pacific Theater, or you want to know more about Operation Barbarossa, or you want to look at the Mediterranean aspect of World War II, there are expansions for all of these different theaters of war. And so Memoir 44 can be a really nice way to get those students who are really interested in history, really interested in military history, and get them more engaged and enrich your units with a game like Memoir 44. Okay, so if you are a history teacher and you teach World War II, I highly recommend getting a copy of Memoir 44, either for students to play after school or at lunch, or to include in a game club if you have something like that at your school. And if you're a parent and your son or daughter is studying World War II, then Memoir 44 might be an excellent way to get them more engaged in the topics that they're learning, in the battles, and particularly if you have a son or daughter who's really into the military history, because I think Memoir 44 does an excellent job at giving you that context about the specific battles, which you might not get through the regular curriculum. So do please keep in mind that for these reviews, I'm not teaching you how to play the game. I'm not really looking at the game as a whole in terms of its fun factor. There are lots of reviews out there and instructional videos telling you how to play, but really I'm hoping that you walk away with this video knowing a little bit about how this game could work for you if you're a teacher or if you're a parent. So thank you very much for watching. My email and Twitter will be at the bottom of the screen here. And if you have any comments, if you can recommend any other games that you like for World War II, or if you found a clever way to use Memoir 44 in your classroom or with your son or daughter, then please leave it in the comments. Just as a final note, World War II is normally studied in high school, but I think this game is so streamlined and it's so easy to learn. I've heard rumors of teachers using this with students as young as grade 3. So even if you don't teach a high school history curriculum, this still could be a game that you could include either as part of your game club or if you're teaching younger grades. So there we go. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.